change was beginning to take place from a small fishing hamlet. In the last part of the 1800s, Folkestone was a very fashionable resort visited by the gentry of the time. Because of the need to ferry visitors from the town down to the seafront, a double-track lift was opened in 1885. As popularity and the opening of the Victoria Pier brought about an increase in passengers, a second lift system was put in place alongside the existing one. This opened in 1890 and was known as the Stepcar Lift. Folkestone became famous for having two different types of lift operating side by side. The original lift, still in use today, holds 14 passengers, whereas the step car holds 16 with doors to either end instead of just one on the side. The step-lift carriages first ran on August Bank Holiday in 1890, having been built by a firm of international coach builders based in Castle Street in Dover, and then, of course, later Dover Transport Museum played a very big part in its story. As Bob Mooland makes clear later on, the restoration success has relied upon the generosity of both small and large businesses, together with the members of the public. At the time of the centenary in 1985, the step-car lifts had not been used for 20 years and had fallen into decay. In the few months before the celebrations, it was decided to tidy up the site and the two step-cars would be removed. One was burnt on the beach, while the other was rescued and taken in its dilapidated state to a museum at Dover. It lived there for 20 years whilst efforts were made to raise funds by a committee under the chairmanship of Jack Gill. It was then brought back to its site in Folkestone until the total needed had been raised. Then it was sent to restorers at Sandwich. Additional support came from AC Lifting of Densole, Dover Transport Museum, the War and Peace Group, and Mr. Michael Stainer. Funds were raised by the hard work of the committee, made up of Jack Gill, Anne Bilton and Bob Mooland, who would eventually see their dream come true. The Elham Valley Line Trust, which is a charity and operates George's Barn and the Railway Museum at Peene, were delighted to offer a final home for the Stepcar. It had been stored at the rear of the Grand Hotel through the kindness of Michael Stainer, but can now be seen by all visitors to the Craft Centre and the museum.
And I've got all the, I've got more with me now. In time to come, right? Oh, it's good. That's good, look. See the inside? Watch.
This is made, this is green heart that comes from British Guyana. One piece across there.
Right.
One piece across here.
And these were where the buffers were?
The original buffers, yes.
I see.
Well, what shall we do a centre to centre? Just do a centre to centre measurement and do the holes down here?
Yeah, we can do that.
Rather than try and get it up there.
Yeah.
Do to the edge. This edge to edge, yeah.
Yeah, edge to edge. So this
This right hand edge, yeah.
To that right.
Oh, that's the photographer. Down,
Yeah,
with a strap.
Yeah, that's right, it would have been, that's right. So it just doesn't move at all then?
Honestly, I am so pleased in the end that it's come to a worthy home. And to finish it off this morning, these two gentlemen who are professionalism are going to do it and finish it badly needed to be put on. Being 10 years on a road and finally reaching the wood, which has been dead and decaying for so long, we finally come to a lonesome time in the middle of the wood, which is doing so nicely now. That's the Elham Valley Line Museum.
Two of the trustees, Norman Hall and Colin Griggs, had worked extremely hard to make the site ready for the carriage's arrival. Bob Mooland, who was trustee for the fundraising, gave details of the saga at the opening on the 31st of August at George's Barn. We can hear some of that story from him now.
I came to the conclusion in 2004 that the only thing that was in favour of this carriage surviving was the wills were intact. So in July 2004, Dover Transport Museum agreed that the carriage could return to the Leas lift. Had it not been for AC lifting of Densel Hawkinge, the carriage would never have been back, because at that time I just did not have that sort of money for the lifting equipment. AC lifting did it for half the price, to which, again, their generosity is certainly impressive for their town's heritage. A low loader was also needed, to which fortunately there was enough money for that. It stayed on the track until October 2006 when a group was formed. The constitution was drawn up and then it was taken off the track again by AC lifting, absolutely free of charge, to Ash near Sandwich. In the meantime, fundraising began. And the very first fundraising event that took place was on the night of the bandstand grand opening, after that had been restored. That night we had taken £220 because the grand opening of the bandstand, another Victorian piece, and this Leas lift carriage are all together. You cannot celebrate one and not the other. The public supported that. And now you were the backbone behind this project, because without you we would never have been here. And that must never be forgotten. And in time that will be mentioned in the history books. 90% of the chassis is the original. A marking was found on the chassis, to which our chairman and others traced to an iron foundry in the East End of London that clearly supplied the steel to build the Burnell's iron ship. The wheels are the original. The rubber suspension is the original. And on top of that, a bonus was thrown in much later on. The original pulley wheel, which as you will see, was also supplied by Dover Transport Museum, and the lamp. It's been a very, very tiresome time, 10 years in all. But now I want to say, if it hadn't have been for the 87-year-old Mr. Jack Gill, whose leadership in this campaign, and our secretary, Anne Hilton, we would never have been here today. All of you, I say to you, thank you from your hearts for your generosity. Thank you.
Well done, Robert.
And now I would like our guest speaker, Mr. Kenneth Colley. Thank you.
Into the meagre history that I know, you've just been given it by Bob. So all I can say is I'm amazed by all this. I've lived here 33 years. I've passed the end of this road and always wondered, what is down that road? What is a museum for railways doing in such a tiny place? And now I know. Because of the dedication and the work and the sheer sweat of a group of people who felt the same as Bob and worked the way he did. Probably many of you. So really, all that remains for me to do is say I'm very, very pleased and I'm flattered to be asked to unveil this piece of machinery. It's even got a few ghosts in there.
Everyone who was at the ceremony on Saturday the 31st of August agreed that it was the right place for the old lady to prepare for her 125th birthday.